show that's three dimensions away from Joker being called Clown. I'm your host, 3D Jake, and today we're looking at Joker, released in 2019. Joker is directed by Todd Phillips, who you might know directed the Hangover movies, War Dogs, Road Trip, and so many other comedies. This time around, he wrote this movie and directed it with Scott Silver. Scott Silver, of course, is his writing partner in this movie, and the movie stars Joaquin Phoenix, Zazie Beetz, Robert De Niro, and Francis Conroy. The movie is essentially about the origins of the Joker, a guy named Arthur Fleck who's down on his luck and everything, and everybody treats him like crap in the city Gotham, and how it basically inspires this man who just has mental illness to become this iconic character we all know, love, and to hate. The movie is essentially a period piece in the 70s, and it's set in Gotham, and you see him being kicked around and pushed around and bullied and everything. The idea is society made him this way rather than him being and it kind of takes inspiration from the Killing Joke way about how he's a failed comedian. And so I like that aspect of how it takes place from the Killing Joke, but it also goes in its own direction. I'm a huge fan of Joaquin Phoenix. I think he's a great fan. I love the Joker character. And in fact, when I heard they're making it, I'm like, no one cares. You need Batman in the movie to make a Joker movie. Because no one cares if, about evil, how he became the Joker. This movie is so good. I love this movie. I'm watching this movie going, I didn't even care that, it was just okay, Batman's not in this movie, and that he doesn't put the makeup on, the Joker makeup on, until, towards the end of the movie. I mean, there is a scene where he puts, some clown makeup on and kills some people, but it's not he's fully the Joker throughout the whole movie, even though that's what I was kind of hoping for. The movie just shows you, and it has a beautiful score. There's so many great moments in this movie that we all love in this movie. This movie is essentially a love letter to the Joker character, but also it's a love letter to the world of DC, where basically it's look, Gotham, it doesn't try to portray it this is Schumacher's Batman or Nolan's Batman. It tries to portray it it's a Martin Scorsese film with basically characters from Batman in there. And I like that aspect. If we have Thomas Wayne who's trying to clean up the corruption in Gotham. Then you have Joker, who basically is Arthur Fleck, who's just sitting there, being treated like crap, and everybody beats the crap out of him, and he gets in trouble at work, and then he ends up having to bring a gun, to protect himself, and ends up killing somebody, and just different things like that. And it was just and there are things I love in this movie. I know some people were afraid, critics were afraid, and it came out that it would inspire mental illness. And I don't think so, because I'm that's like saying Lex Luthor is going to inspire xenophobia in the movie. And, if they made a whole movie about Lex Luthor, he'd inspire xenophobia. Now, I just feel that's a reach, because, the Joker's a fictional character. We all know. I mean, there's been several adaptations of that character. We've had him in The Dark Knight. We've had him in Batman 66. We've had him in 89. We've had him in 2016. And we've had him now in 2019. So I don't think that, us seeing the Joker is going to create mass murderers, okay? And no more than if we had an evil bald dude that hates aliens is going to inspire people to hate, aliens. And so I just think that's, I just don't see, I think that really is a reach in a way. I think that really is, because, I mean, I could see, okay, yeah, you're afraid that maybe this character could, maybe somebody, okay, this character inspired me to do something evil, I could see maybe, because, I mean, we have had the James Holmes guy, the Colorado shooter, and, yeah, I could see that, so that standpoint, I could see from that standpoint, yes, but, this was, I think this was an isolated incident where that was just, that guy was just going to do it regardless, compared to if, okay, someone's going to watch this movie and go, oh, I'm going to absolutely be like Arthur Fleck. I think that the idea of that message in the movie is society needs to be better, because society's turning this guy's way. The whole movie is shot in, a way, and Todd Phillips, who you would think, oh my God, this the guy who made The Hangover made this movie? I mean, it just shows you his range, because how he makes this movie is, the whole movie's dark and gritty up until he puts the Joker makeup on, then it brightens up in the movie. And I like that. And the idea kind of plays around, is it in his head, or did he really do all these horrible things? And I really like the idea of that, because it's I like how you see, how whenever, the whole room feels bright and, the sun starts coming out, whenever he's, when he puts that Joker makeup on, it feels because, you have all these kind of idea themes of this movie that are okay, society made him this way. And, all these people shit on him to where he basically gets his revenge on these people. His mom lied to him. He thought people he thought were his friend are, trick him and get him fired. And then on top of that, who he wants, the father figure he wants, is like saying, I'm not your father, and he doesn't believe him. And then on top of that, you know, the girl that he loves is all in his head. And, he has all these horrible thoughts, like, if I just kill myself, I'll be fine. And instead, he's just like, you know what? I'm not going to kill myself. I'm just going to get my revenge on these people, and just things like that just are what makes this movie interesting, because it's a character piece on mental illness. But at the same time, it plays on, the idea tropes of like, well, why should I do this? And I think that's what makes it interesting, because this is a character who, in the comics, just like, okay, he's just a psychopath. And I mean, you can relate to understand why he become it, and this idea, and this is city, especially, you can see, I believe why we need Batman, because, and the idea kind of is it's the rich versus the poor. The rich are the ones who are the villains, and the poor kind of more or less are just like, subjects to their own society. And I could see that aspect of it, but at the same time, I feel like it's more on neutral grounds. And I will say that I think that Joaquin Phoenix does a good job at playing this guy. I understand, I think like Leonardo DiCaprio was considered for this role. I just can't see him as the Joker. I definitely see, though, Joaquin in this role. And I mean, especially, like, there's a scene in the movie where it's just such a subtle scene where he kills these, guys in self-defense. Then he goes and just kills the other one just for the heck of it, because he's like, like they're like, he just feels like he just snaps and just kills them. Then he goes and then he does that dance in the bathroom. You hear that beautiful music score. I thought that worked so well, and I'm like, it's just so good, And then on top of that, how when he finds out how about like his about his mom and how his mom boyfriend beat him to death against a thermostat or whatever. Oh man, and it just made me kind of feel like, oh man, this is so messed up, And then of course, and then he kills his own mother, because it's like, it feels like the more as this movie goes on, it's just like the more it builds up to where it finally just implodes, where you see him like putting makeup on to go on the Maury show, and then of course he just like he kills this like guy who thought it was his friend, and then like the little guy is just basically like trying to escape, but the doorknob's up there, so he's like, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm not gonna kill you. He's like, well, Arthur, can you open the door for me? That scares the shit out of him. And then he goes on there. I like that. I thought that was a pretty good scene. And then I like how that cool scene with Rock and Roll Part 2 plays, where he does the elevator and he's dancing down the stairs, and then that's when it becomes a. I like that in the whole chase sequence. And then when he's in the subway, that's what I thought was really cool, where he's in the subway hiding and like, mask off. The police are like, mask off. And then of course how they end up getting trampled on and everything, and then he just escapes. I thought that was so well done. We saw behind the scenes footage of that, but we didn't see the whole concept, and I thought it was so well done. And then and like the whole it really picks up on that the talk show, because you're just like, he got away with that part. Now what's he gonna do here? And you're like, oh, is he good? Because in the comic, in the Dark Knight Returns, Joker kills everybody in the audience. I'm like, is he gonna kill everybody on that show? And so then of course when he literally, because I'm like, he's gonna do something horrible. I know he's going to do. And then of course when I'm like, because the idea, if you watch the movie, like he's just planning on killing himself. And I'm like, I was like, there's no way he's killing himself. And then of course, whenever like, and then him and Robert De Niro get into a big spirit, how he's like, you're an evil person because you made fun of me and you're a horrible people. And then of course Robert De Niro's trying to justify his own self, and he's like trying to turn the tables on him. And then he takes this, you know what? And he tells that joke, you get what you fucking deserve, and he shoots him and kills him. I'm like, damn! Like then he just shoots him again, and I'm like, so then he's like. And then he's like, he gets to the camera, goes, and remember, folks, and then he just is tackled by security, and this like, he sees this chaos, he erupted, and then I just like that. To me, I think it should have ended with like how like whenever they pull him out, the ambulance gets hit, he pull him out, and he does the blood on the smile like that, and everything, like once the Waynes get shot and everything, and he puts the blood. That should have ended right there, but instead it ends with him in a mental hospital and in handcuffs and. I thought that was pretty cool. And then you see him smile when he's like, "What's so funny?" And then you see the Waynes in his head dead. And he's like, "You wouldn't get it," And I know some people argue, well, did this all happen, or was it because the scene, this is all in his head? I think it did happen. I really truly think this happened. I think like we're seeing him kind of recap all this happened to his therapist, and then he just kills his therapist, and then he's like just runs around. I mean, like, hi, you can never catch the Joker, and. There are ideas of it that build, like how he wants to be happy, but he can never be happy because he's crazy. And he's like, I'm going to keep killing and like doing crazy things because that's the only way I can be happy in life, And I think that is a cool character to the Joker, because I remember watching, and this is weird, Anger Management, the TV show, and someone asked why the Joker always go back to Gotham, when he tried to commit crimes. And then Charlie Sheen goes, because the Joker's insane. He's going to keep redoing the same result and hope and get a different outcome because you're insane. You don't know any better. And I think the Joker is like that. He's like, look, I'm just going to try to escape and kill more people and create more havoc, because that's my nature, And I think that's what's so crazy about this character. And I can't wait to see what they do in Joker for Leah do, because I think his character just is going to go, especially with Harley Quinn. I think that's just two peas in a pot of chaos, and I can't wait to see that. But as for this movie, I think it's a great character. And I understand if you don't like this movie because of the subject matter, but judge it as a comic book movie. Don't judge it as like a serious subject of mental illness. But if you just judge it as it's a comic movie, like watching Superman the movie or something, then I think you'll have a good time with it. If I had to give this movie a grade, I'm going to give it an A+. Thank you so much.
If you just